10 people were killed and at least 50 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. And public officials are left grappling with how to deal with the problem as violence also increases in the Loop. Of the 2 police districts that make up downtown, Chicago police data report that 48 shootings so far this year in District 1 have happened, compared to 29 this time last year. That's a 66% increase. And in Police District 18, data shows 43 shootings this year, compared to 27 in 2020, a 59% increase. Joining us to discuss the impact of this increase in violent crime downtown are Deborah Gershbein, president of Streeterville Organization of Active Residents, Andy Boyle, director of product engineering for the Chicago Sun-Times, where he's done data analysis on city violence, and Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins, whose ward covers parts of downtown. Thanks to all 3 of you for joining us. Andy Boyle, let's start with you, please. Neighborhoods across the city are experiencing a rise in crime this year, as we know. Your team, though, recently reported a 220% rise in shootings downtown. Explain to us what you all found there.
Yeah, so what we found is we identified 16 of the police beats kind of in the downtown area that we wanted to focus on and just see how, because we've been hearing a lot of reports about, and also there have been some viral incidents that have kind of exploded around there. So we just kind of wanted to take a look. And what we found was there's more than triple the amount of shootings compared to all of 2019 happened through near the end of October for 2021. And so what people are saying, there is some proof to back up what people had been saying, that it did feel more dangerous. It did feel like crime was increasing. But what we also did was we looked at the city as a whole. And what you see is the entire city has seen like a 68% increase in shooting victims compared to 2019, 60% increase in shooting fatalities compared to 2020. So what you are seeing is it's kind of happening all over, but it's been also coming downtown more than it has in recent years.
And just to be clear, how would you say these numbers of what we're seeing downtown compare to other neighborhoods in Chicago?
From a numbers perspective, you have a lot of other areas, especially there's one police district in West Garfield Park when we looked at the data analysis. That one area had, I think, more than 50 total shooting victims. And so the downtown area that we looked at had about like 77. And so, but there's only about 7,000 people that live in that one area in West Garfield Park. So there is what we call a safety gap between some of these areas. Now, that does not say that the shootings that are occurring downtown don't matter. They all matter. But what some of the theories that have been passed along is what is happening in some of these other neighborhoods is now coming downtown. And partially because some people have been moving downtown, or excuse me, visiting downtown to feel safer.
And Deborah Gershbein, your organization, you work closely with the residents of Streeterville, of course. It's a neighborhood in downtown. What are you hearing from residents about this?
Well, the residents are very alarmed, and they have been voicing their concerns quite frequently. This is a whole new world for everyone downtown. We have not experienced crime and gun violence like we have recently. There are many, many problems that are happening, and the violence that happens just on the street randomly does affect our neighborhood. Even though it's fewer than some of the other neighborhoods, it is happening where it never happened before. Residents are afraid to go out during certain times of the day, and now that it's getting dark earlier, this is going to be a major problem for the residents in the city.
Alderman Hopkins, what do you think could be leading to this increase in violence and shootings downtown?
Yeah, I think there's 2 main reasons driving it. Number one is just the effects of the pandemic, on society as a whole. It's really kind of the same phenomena that drives these stunning increases in violence on airplanes, for example, or, accounts of people attacking people in line at a grocery store or whatever. The whole society is on edge. We are stressed out, and we've just gone through and are, in fact, still going through, such a very dramatic and frightening experience collectively, and not all of us are responding well to it. And it's also having, ramifications throughout society where the social institutions seem to be breaking down before our very eyes. So it fosters an environment where authority can easily be disrespected. And that's what the police officers tell me, especially the ones who are assigned to downtown. They're frightened by the hostility and the violence, even when they encounter an offender committing a crime. The threat of violence that is used against them has never been greater, and we see the results of that with the recent incident in my ward, where someone fired at the head of a police officer who was trying to take him into custody, and shot him with a glancing blow, fortunately, so he will recover. But that's just indicative, of the increasing level of violence that's being perpetrated as part of these crimes. It has everyone on edge, not just the residents, as Debbie mentioned, but the police officers as well.
And Andy, we know from recent reports that more guns are being recovered by Chicago police compared to previous years. How does that factor into this issue?
Yeah, one of the things that we found in a previous article that we had worked on was ATF data. So the total amount of firearms have gone up more than a third just between 2014 and 2019. But the pistols that they've recovered, which is one of the primary weapons that they use, have gone up almost 75%. If you include also the extended clip magazines that a lot of police have been also recovering, where previously you might have had only 15 rounds, you can now have 50 rounds. And then also they're sometimes turning some of these firearms into automatic weapons as well. And because of how a gun fires, that sometimes leads to more of a spray, which sometimes means unintended victims also get shot as well. And so that's you have a lot of people coming downtown with more guns than they used to have, just because more people are packing.
And Deborah, what effect is this having on the downtown community? Are businesses deciding to leave?
Well, unfortunately, if you walk down Michigan Avenue, you will see many businesses that have left already, and I'm sure there are more to come. The fact that these gangs of criminals just walk into a retailer and grab whatever they want and leave is very alarming to businesses and residents. It's like, who's next? Who is going to go into the next store and grab the entire window display and take the contents and then probably have no consequences? I don't know how the police can possibly stop this type of activity when there are so many people involved in these incidents. It's very alarming, and I hope that the businesses can come up with some solutions to avoid these type of incidents happening in the future. I know that we have had walk and talk with the retailers, with the 18th District Commander and some of the sergeants and officers about what the retailers can do to avoid this going forward.
And Alderman Hopkins, before we run out of time, about 30 seconds, what would you like to see CPD, Chicago Police Department, do to address this?
They have to adjust their tactics. We've done that recently with a citywide carjacking task force, so we're responding to the changing criminal behavior by adjusting the way we police. We need to do that downtown too. We need a greater police presence on the sidewalks and the streets of Michigan Avenue in particular, and they need to use technology to a more effective means with the cameras that we have placed to be able to apprehend criminals while they're engaged in a crime and stop them from committing the next crime.
Of course, this is a situation that's experienced by a lot of neighborhoods right now in Chicago as well, in addition to downtown. Andy Boyle, Deborah Gershbein, and Alderman Brian Hopkins, thanks to the three of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.